So hello, welcome to Sushi Society. I'm Patricia Bader-Johnston, and today's featured contributor is David Parish, who's joining us from the UK. And David is a very active entrepreneur and mentor. He has authored several books in the area of creative business and is an absolutely wonderful addition to our Sushi Society community. So I'd like to say welcome, David. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, it's an absolute delight, Patricia, and I'm really pleased to be speaking with you today and to be part of this new exciting community.
Yes, well, thank you for joining us. So maybe a good place to start is just perhaps a little background about yourself. And if you could just let us know who you are and how you got to this stage and what are your passions at this? I think you're just at the very, very early edge of being a sushi yourself. And it would be great to just know a little bit about the journey that brought you here.
Well, I'm happy to share that with you. I'm not as young as I look. I'm actually 62 years of age. And if I were to tell my life story, it would take a very long time. But what I do now is to be a business advisor, a speaker at conferences. I do training workshops and I write books, all about entrepreneurship and particularly creative entrepreneurship. And that's really become my passion, my mission, and my profession of helping people to make their dreams come true, to combine their talents, their creativity, their passions with smart business thinking, so that what they're really interested in isn't just a hobby or a side interest, but can become a business in tune with their values, their objectives, and what they want to achieve. So that's really my theme about empowering entrepreneurs, helping them to use smart business techniques that fit with their values and their objectives. And I do that particularly in the creative industries with people who are somehow artistically creative, designers, photographers, filmmakers, all those creative arts that are also businesses. But of course, entrepreneurship is very general. It applies to all kinds, all fields of human endeavor, not just the creative industries. And the things I talk about and I've learned, can be very useful to all kinds of businesses at different stages, at startup stage, at growth stage, and mature businesses that want to reorganize or just become even more efficient and profitable. So my advice can be very wide-ranging, and I've learned a lot about entrepreneurship from my own direct experience. You have to imagine many years ago, 40 years ago, when I actually had hair, in fact, long hair and a beard, and I set up a community bookshop in my hometown of Bury. That was a passion project, actually. We didn't really think of it as a business, but ironically, I had to learn about business very, very quickly, because even with a small bookshop in a small town, you have to learn about finance, contracts, deal with bank managers and accountants, deal with staff, all kinds of things. So it was a baptism of fire. And I came to realize that knowing about business is very useful, whatever kind of attitude you have, whether it's a passion project or a high growth, profitable business, a corporation, or a small lifestyle business. The tools of business are useful and you can use them to move in the direction you want. So most of what I've learned is from practical experience of setting up businesses, having successes, yes, making mistakes as well. We learn from those. And then later in my career, I got academic qualifications, the MBA, and I now have a lot of professional qualifications in marketing, leadership, and management. But I'm not primarily an academic. I'm very practical in the advice I give, because that's how I have learned myself.
I actually have in my hand one of your books, and I'm not sure if you can see it well, but there, I think that's better. For some reason, there's a glare on it here. But it's about a guide to the business of creativity. And focus on the business of creativity. And I think that that's really fascinating, because I'm 59, and you know, in the beginning stages of my sushi stage of life as well. And I think that at this age and stage, very often when we think about a business idea, it is a passion project, like you say, and it's something that you have often thought about or had in your back pocket for a long time. And I think that it's often on the creative side, right? It's so how did you, the guide to business of creativity, how did you get into that field? What brought you into that?
Well, a lot of my work as a business advisor has been in the area of what we might call the creative industries. In other words, helping creative people, often artistically creative people, to be better at business. Because I think that many people who are artists, musicians, dancers, photographers, filmmakers, they come at business from a passion point of view. They want to do it because it's their lifestyle. They are really passionate about creating things. They're very talented, but very often they're not very strong on the business side of things. They don't have a conventional business training. They're not actually coming from a business background. And they might even be a little bit suspicious of business because they might have a feeling they're going to have to sell out their dreams to become a regular kind of business person. And so that's the area I work in. And that's probably because that was my journey too, in working in the bookshop and then in publishing and in marketing and distribution of books. That at the time was not called creative industries. So I come from that creative industries background. But the main thing is I understand the mentality and the attitude of people who want to have a business, but they want to have a business about their passions. They don't want any old business just to make money. They want to do their passion, do it well, make a difference in the world, and be successful commercially as well as creatively. So that's very much my market. That's where I come from, and that's where I help people. And the book came out of all the advice my experience first, and then the advice I was giving, and the training workshops that I developed, particularly for creative people who wanted to be smart with business. And the book is a business guide for people who don't normally read business books, who haven't been to business school, who might even think that business is a bit boring. So the book is about connecting their creative passions with smart business thinking. And for that, I use this metaphor, t-shirts and suits, meaning the t-shirts are the cool creative people who are doing their passionate work, and suits representing, sort of smart business thinking. Because if we can combine creative passion and smart business thinking, we have a very powerful combination. And that's my theme. That's the title of my book, T-shirts and Suits, A Guide to the Business of Creativity. And that has become also my brand and the name of my company. And so everything I do is about helping people achieve their dreams, empower them as entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I think that that's such a universal theme as well. When you talk about creativity and following passions, just as human beings, no matter where we live, this is something that certainly, especially later in life, we start to aspire if we haven't managed to achieve it during our sort of first career stage. I'm just wondering, how global do you think those creative ideas are? You're sitting in the UK, I'm sitting in Japan. Sushi Society is, we hope, going to be a global community. How universal is that whole theme of applying creativity to business? Love to hear your thoughts.
Well, it's a very good question. And I think that creativity is universal. I think that what interests me and fascinates me as I travel around the world, and I've been lucky enough to travel to more than 100 countries and work in more than 50 countries, I'm fascinated by different cultures, different situations, different economies. And so, of course, there are vast differences in different countries around the world, and that's what makes travel so fascinating. And yet, at the same time, there are so many things in common. Everywhere I go, I see people trying to make a living, looking after their families, enjoying friendships, drinking, having a drink with their friends, whatever that drink might be. And similarly, in terms of business, people want to apply their talents. They want to do something useful. They have these passions and they want to make money from them very often. Some people do their passion simply as a hobby alongside a regular job, and that's okay. But then many people want to make a living from their passion so that they can give up the regular job. Or people in retirement, after having worked for a corporation for a long time and made a contribution to society that way, they want to do something more individual, something more about their own personal passions, something that they are in control of, and to build it into a business, whether that's a small lifestyle business or a larger business. It's up to them. So I think that this theme is absolutely universal. It comes from the human spirit, and it's there everywhere I go, although it might manifest itself in different ways through different systems. I think the human spirit, that passion, that desire to create, to do something useful, to have an impact on the world, that is absolutely universal.
Thank you so much. And that's a very eloquent note to end on, I think, for today. I really, really am looking forward to seeing your contribution on Sushi Society. And I encourage all of our members to go and have a look at your blog and your contributions. And I'm sure you're going to have a lot of followers from our community here. Thank you so much for agreeing to join us, David. I am really thrilled to have you on board. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me today.
It's a real pleasure. Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you so much.